The Miami Dolphins get the win at home to kick off the season 20-17 thanks to a game-winning Jason Sanders 52-yard field goal as time expired. I have a lot of thoughts on this game. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, but the first thing that I just got to come out and say is how gritty of a performance was that from Miami. It was not pretty. It was one of the more ugly wins that I can remember Miami having. It really didn't seem like the Dolphins had it today. On offense, they just couldn't really move the football consistently. They had some tough blocking assignments, couple tough drops by the tight ends, a couple big plays as well. Jaylen Waddle had a massive completion that went for like 50-plus yards. Tyreek Hill had an 80-yard touchdown, which we'll get into him a little bit more here, including the odd legal situation, which started before the game. But either way, the Dolphins were able to prevail and start the season off 1-0, which is actually pretty big considering the fact of New England and Buffalo also won today. So AFC East, 3-0 on the day. Jets play tomorrow against the 49ers. But let's talk about the Miami Dolphins here because, like I said, it wasn't pretty. They were down 17-7 at the half. And it was looking a little bleak. And if I'm going to be honest here, and I want to give a shout out to this player, and I don't want to wait any longer to do it, Jaylen Waddle. He is the MVP of today's game. Why is he the MVP of this game? Well, if you watch the game live, you would know the swing that happened for Miami. The Jaguars were up 17-7, driving on the Dolphins in the middle to late third quarter. And they handed off to Travis Etienne, and he's running, and he's got about 2 yards to go until the end zone. He got to the 2-yard line. And then Jaylen Waddle comes in from the side and just absolutely knocks the ball out. Close fist fumble. Etienne fumbles. It goes through into the end zone. And then Kader Kohou landed on it to get the Miami Dolphins the ball back at the 20-yard line. The next play, the first play of the offensive drive after the fumble recovery, 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. I mean, you want to talk about an all-time turnaround there. You went from down 24-7 halfway through the third quarter to up or down 17-14. That is what happened right there. That's a big play by Jaylen Waddle. And obviously, Tyreek Hill and Tua is what made the touchdown happen for Miami. But you went from down 17 with about 18 minutes to go to only down 3 with 18 minutes to go. And it ultimately allowed Miami to get this win because they shut out the Jaguars in the second half. Like I said, it was 17-7 at half. And Miami was able to go and win the second half 13-0 behind that touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. And then 2 fourth-quarter Jason Sanders field goal with that game-winning one coming in the final 5 seconds of the game. Just an absolutely fantastic game for Miami. And it just was awesome to see the gritty and determination for this Dolphins team to get the win. This is a win I don't think Miami gets, but with more veteran leaders, more physicality, stronger defense a little bit, especially up in the interior of that defensive line, I think this team is really good. And now, we said this as a stat, by the way, Tua threw for 336. We're going to break them down more in just a second. Dolphins are now 16-6 when throwing for more than 250 yards in the last 2 years under Mike McDaniel. 3 years now. So really good performance from the guys. What is your one-word reaction from the Dolphins' win against the Jacksonville Jaguars? One word, give it to me. I'm going to say relieved if I had to give my one word because, listen, we've talked a lot about it and how difficult the schedule is for the Dolphins this year. Not easy. And they have an easier front-loaded schedule. They play Jacksonville and Buffalo, or they play Jacksonville and Buffalo in the first 2 weeks of the year. And then you have Seattle, Tennessee, New England, Indy, Arizona, and then you have a lot more tougher games in the back half. So you need to start the year off fast. And that's why I'm relieved, because if the Dolphins started the year 0-1, you really have to start thinking like, oh boy, where's the season going to go? Not that it was over after 1 week, but with such an easier front half schedule, you really need to take advantage of some of these games at home against teams that probably aren't going to be projected to be finalists for the Super Bowl. And I think they were able to do that, and they were able to survive. All right, let's talk about now the offense. We'll do that first, and we'll move into the defense in the second half. Tua, 23 of 37, 336 yards, 1 touchdown. I thought he played okay. And I know the raw stats are going to probably display something a little bit different. 336 yards and touchdowns, pretty good. No interceptions, no turnovers. Good stuff. That's one thing about Miami's offense I like today. They didn't turn the ball over. The one issue I did have is that I feel like Tua missed a lot of easy throws. And I wouldn't say easy, but like there was a couple in the flat, could have been a little bit more accurate. Now, you could have also said those players got to catch those footballs, and I would agree. There was a drop from Raheem Mostert that I thought he should have caught. Jonnu Smith, Durham Smythe had a couple drops. And sure, if Tua puts it on their body, it's probably a catch for the most part. But if you get your hands on the football, got to catch it. But listen, didn't turn the ball over. That's one of the biggest things that I really liked from him today against the Jaguars defense, who actually surprised me. I think they played really good. And with no running game today, Dolphins ran 25 times, 83 yards. That comes at the 3.3 yards per carry. That's not good. So without the ability to run the football, I was impressed with Tua's ability to really still move the offense at times and when it mattered. Because in the second half, they moved the football. They couldn't finish, and that is something we'll have to definitely work on and keep our eye on here as we move closer and closer and into the season, about finishing when you get to the 15, the 20, the 35-yard line instead of having to settle for 3. But I think it could have been a lot worse for this offense, and I like what Tua did for the most part. The one thing that I did hate is that there was a possession where he took a sack when the Dolphins were in field goal range, and then ultimately they weren't able to kick a field goal in the first half. But bygones are bygones. The Dolphins got to win. And that's what it is. We're going to talk more about the wide receivers here and some of the tight ends here coming up in a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the #1 place to get your tickets. And if you want to go to the Dolphins-Bills game this upcoming Thursday, that's where you got to go. Game Time is the best place to do it. It has the best features to make sure you get the lowest price guaranteed, including a new feature called Game Time Picks. Yes, you heard that correctly. What is Game Time Picks? Well, it allows you to get tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also have other features that make your experience even better. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. There's nothing worse than going to checkout thinking you're paying a certain amount of money and you wait a minute. You're telling me now it's $40 more a ticket? Oh, that's not going to happen with Game Time. They also get a panoramic view of your seat when you're looking. It is the only possible way to get tickets. I'm telling you, it's the absolute best. And with the Dolphins-Bills game this upcoming Thursday night, go watch the Dolphins try to go to 2-0. It's a great game on Thursday Night Football. Get your tickets today. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's transition now into some of these pass catchers. And I think we got a nice glimpse into how Devon Achane is really going to have a breakout year. This kid is a stud, and he's going to be used a lot more in the passing game. I think Coach McDaniel said that, and I think Devon Achane said that himself, and we really saw on full display today. You talk about the players that got the most targets in this Dolphins offense. Tyreek Hill got the most targets with 12. Next was Devon Achane with 7. And by the way, with Achane, he caught all 7 of those footballs. He had 7 receptions for 75 yards and then had a rushing touchdown as well, 25 through the ground. So he had over 100 yards total purpose, actually 100 on the dot with a touchdown and 7 catches. The kid is special. Tyreek Hill obviously was sensational. 7 receptions, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, including that 80-yarder right after the Travis Etienne fumbled that got Miami right back into this football game. And with Hill, I know people are going to ask about the legal situation, so I'll give a quick little update here. Well, the last thing to my knowledge that I've seen is that Tyreek Hill was cited for driving recklessly before the game on the way to Hard Rock Stadium, was pulled over, ended up not getting arrested but put in handcuffs. I think some of the clips that I saw were kind of gross, I got to be honest. Tyreek Hill was put to the ground, face down, hands behind his back, cuffs getting put on, a lot of force being used. I don't think it was necessary. Obviously, you don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't there, but it feels like something that concerns me a little bit. But obviously, Tyreek Hill played, and he played pretty well, being a game changer, 7 catches for 130 yards. I think there is no concern long-term with his legal situation. Jaylen Waddle, 5 catches, 108 yards. Him and Tyreek are just such a dynamic duo, man. The speed, it's so hard to keep them in line, including, like I said, the 63-yard post route he had, which ultimately didn't lead to points for Miami because that was the possession where they got down to 25. Then Tua took that sack on third down, which kicked them out of field goal range. But Waddle and Hill, man, they're just the best wide receiver duo in football. It's so obvious when those two are healthy and on the football field, they are perfect. And that's the part that really is intriguing to me, by the way, is that Waddle left this game slightly with a concussion issue. They were concerned about the concussion and ultimately returned into the football game. So Waddle will be fine from that department. That's another thing, from at least to our knowledge right now. Now, things could pop up post and stuff like that, but I think that the Dolphins leave this game relatively clean with injuries. So that's a good thing, too, for Miami. In the passing department, there's really nothing else to know. The tight ends were bad. Jonnu Smith, he dropped a pass. Durham Smythe dropped a couple passes. Braxton Berrios non-existent. Dolphins need a third wide receiver bad. That's why Odell Beckham Jr. is so important. And when he comes back, hopefully in Week 5 against New England, or maybe Week 7 after the bye, it's going to be huge for Miami because they need an actual wide receiver threat as that third guy, so they don't have to rely on many screen passes to Von Achane as they did. So hopefully that gets solved out moving forward. The running attack certainly is a little bit of disappointment, but yeah. All right, before we get out of here, we'll talk about the defense and how they perform. Listen, you throw a shutout in the second half, I'm going to be happy about it. Intriguing to see some of the statistics. I'm looking at it. No shock here. David Long Jr. led the team in tackles with 8. Big-time sacks. Let's talk about Emmanuel Ogbah and talk about Jalen Phillips. In that last drive that Jacksonville had, Miami ties the game up with a field goal, 17-17. And, I mean, it's just unbelievable. 17-all, right? They give it back to Jacksonville, 4 minutes to go in the ball game. They could technically run down the field and kick a field goal to end this game. But what ends up happening? They run it on first down. They get no yards. On second down, a great stunt pressure, perfectly dialed up by Anthony Weaver, who I thought pitched a really good game in the second half in his first game as a defensive coordinator. Runs a stunt. Emmanuel Ogbah gets home, sacks Trevor Lawrence. Then, on third and, I think, 14 or 15 was it, Jalen Phillips, your star guy, first game back after torn Achilles, who played in like 90% of this game. I can't wait to see the snap distribution coming out in the next couple of days here. But I believe he played 90% of the snaps defensively. I saw him on the field quite a bit. And Jalen Phillips was able to get home to Trevor Lawrence on third down to make that sack. It was a really impressive play by Phillips. Ogbah and Phillips get the sack on second and third down, force the Jags to punt, and next thing you know, Miami goes down the field, kicks a field goal to win the game. So I was impressed there. Jalen Ramsey wasn't 100%. He played, and I think it was evident he was 100%. He got cooked a couple times in the first half by Brian Thomas Jr., one for a touchdown in a zone where Brian Thomas Jr. got behind him on the back line of the end zone, and then in man-to-man coverage, Brian Thomas Jr. just beat him. It was underthrown by Trevor Lawrence, but it was a clear pass interference. It was a pass interference by the Jalen Ramsey, and it ended up getting to the 1 yard line for ETN to punch it in. But either way, not going to complain anything about these games because Dolphins win 2017. Next up, Buffalo on Thursday. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to be live for that game, and we are going to be live for every Dolphins football game this year. We will cover you with everything you need to know around the Miami Dolphins as well this regular season. So I implore you to hit that sub button. Join us here. It's going to be a ton of fun this year. All right, see you with a video tomorrow. Peace out.